The European Union has been sent a huge warning as post-Brexit trade talks edge towards a disastrous collapse, with Michel Barnier accused of being in denial and having his head in the sand over the UK's threat to walk away from negotiations. The two sides, led the UK's chief Brexit negotiator David Frost and Brussels counterpart Mr Barnier, began negotiations on the future relationship in March after Boris Johnson delivered on his promise to get Brexit done on January 31. But the talks have quickly descended into chaos, with the UK and EU trading brutal blows and insults over their negotiating stances and demands for certain elements in any post-Brexit agreement. Key areas such as the level playing field, state aid, tax and access to the single market all still remain unresolved, with no solution in sight. Talks appear to have reached a stalemate, with Mr Barnier writing to UK opposition party leaders to say the EU is open to the idea of an extension to the transition period by up to 2 years. But this was immediately slapped down by both Mr Johnson and Mr Frost, who have dismissed this will and continue to insist a trade deal is signed before the deadline on December 31, 2020. A group of Remain ministers, led by Liberal Democrat acting co-leader Sir Ed Davey, are also trying to squeeze a bill through Parliament in a last-ditch and desperate attempt to delay Brexit by up to 2 years. The second reading of this bill is due to take place on June 12. Trade talks could reach a critical point on Monday when the next round of virtual negotiations begin, with Mr Frost continuing to warn the EU needs to dramatically change its stance in negotiations and relent on a number of areas if further progress is to be made. John MacDonald, head of government affairs at the Adam Smith Institute, told Express.co.uk, "As we approach the final week of talks before the June summit, negotiations are likely to collapse unless there is compromise on a trade deal and fisheries agreement." David Frost has admitted it is unlikely a fisheries agreement will be met by July 1. While this is a soft deadline, the EU will have to accept the UK wants control over its own waters if negotiations are to progress.